3, 2, and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the greatest podcast live on YouTube. I'm your host, TJ Riddell. We're here to talk about bowl games. We're here to talk about Mike Leach, rest in peace. And we're going to talk about the first week of college football bowl games. Now, there's already a game being played right now, but SGF Kurt, take it away. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PMP. I apologize for the absence for the last week or so, especially on the NFL side, which I'll get on that tonight. But I really wanted to get the bowl games out of the way, just because they're important to college football. They're the main reason why we love college football so much, you know. Let me straighten this out. And I got to say, I'm excited for some, and I'm really not excited for a whole lot of them. This game in particular right now, Miami, Ohio taking on UAB. It's pretty good so far, but we'll go over that here in a little bit. I wanted to touch bases on why I did the tribute for Mike Leach for the PMP. I felt like it was appropriate that we honor Mike Leach in that manner. The man really revolutionized the game of football. It wasn't just on the college level. It was also the NFL level. It was also the high school level. And a lot of people don't really know who Mike Leach really was, and it's astounding for me as a football fan that talks to other football fans, and they don't understand who Mike Leach was, you know. And I advise y'all to do some research on Mike Leach. He's had an incredible life, and he absolutely was the most blunt coach in the history of the game of football, besides Steve Spurrier and a few others to mention. But I got to say, it was incredible to witness Mike Leach in his tenure in Texas Tech and Washington State and Mississippi State. I mean, unfortunately, my future kids won't be able to see him live, but I tell you what, he did a great service for college football, and he deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, despite the record just being under 60% winning percentage. But he revolutionized the game, and a lot of people are calling for him to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, which I don't doubt that at all. I am in full approval. He's arguably my favorite head coach of all time. But with that being said, let's get into what we're here for, actually. The first week of the college football bowl games. And now what I mean by the first week, it's going to be the first 16 games of the college football bowl games. So we got from what's being played right now, the Hometown Lenders Bahamas Bowl, and the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. So let's go ahead and start off with the Hometown Lenders Bahamas Bowl, where Miami of Ohio is taking on UAB right now. I'm not going to say the score because I feel like it's cheating. and actually, UAB is actually going to have brand new head coach over there. Trent Dilfer is going to be the new head coach over there. And I got to say, I'm really impressed with the way UAB came up from the ashes in that one season where they were disbanded from football, and they've done really well. And so they're taking on a Miami of Ohio team who beat Ball State to get into this bowl game, and both teams are 6-6. I have UAB winning based off of their athleticism, and they're really good on offense, and their defense is just heart pounding for a group of 5 schools. So I got UAB pulling it out 31-14 in this game. But the score says otherwise right now. It looks pretty close, but I'm not going to say it yet, or not even going to mention it right now. We'll wait until next week to talk about it. So next game we're going to talk about, it'll be the last game being played today. It'll be the number 25 UTSA Roadrunners. They won the Conference USA Championship. They'll take on the number 24 Troy Trojans, who won the Sun Belt Conference. So this is being played at the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl. This is a very interesting matchup. Got Frank Harris and what's this guy's name? Gunnar Watson. Gunnar Watson, he's 13 for 10 in touchdowns and interception ratios. But Vital is a big part of that Troy offense. But I got to say, I'm going with UTSA in a very close game. 38-35. I think Frank Harris and Franklin are going to just kill that secondary. And it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'll be watching that later tonight. But next game we're going to talk about is the Cincinnati Bearcats. They're 9-3, the American Conference. They were in the college football playoff last season, and they'll be playing a Louisville team who's had a really weird season, but they're 7-5, and they're being matched up at the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. And the experts say that they got Louisville as the favorite in this one. And this will be one of many games for this Saturday. You got Bryant for Cincinnati. He's been pretty decent this season. 21 for 7, 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Malik Cunningham, he's been on and off the field with injuries, but Jordan has been a really big help for Louisville. But I like Cincinnati in this game. I think they're going to win 35-31. I just think that their defense is a little better than Louisville's, and I think that if Louisville can keep Malik Cunningham healthy, they have a shot at winning this game. It will be a very close game. But next game I want to talk about is a HBCU matchup. It'll be it's an HBCU matchup because we got Jackson State, the final game for good old coach Deion Sanders. I feel like this is a respectful move for him to we already know he's leaving for Colorado. He's already pulling recruits left and right. He's not stealing, but he's grabbing recruits back from Jackson State to Colorado. But I think this is the most respectful way to say I'm out of here. I like this matchup for Jackson State 2, North Carolina Central. They were 9-2 this season. but I will say this is a very this could be a very emotional game for Jackson State because they're losing the best thing that they had going for them in quite some time. Deion Sanders and Shadir Sanders and Travis Hunter put his name in the transfer portal, so we don't know where exactly he's going to go. Most likely to Colorado. But we're going to go with Jackson State here, 35-24. I think that North Carolina Central is going to play close, but I just think that explosive offense is going to pull it out at the end. Next game we're going to talk about is the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, where Florida 6-6 will take on the number 14 Oregon State Beavers, a very surprising number 14 team in the country. I think this is going to be a one-sided game because you got Goldbranson, who is playing very well, and then you got Martinez playing very excellent for Oregon State, and plus Anthony Richardson, I believe, just put his name in the transfer portal for Florida. So I'm giving Oregon State a big win here, 42-20. I just feel like Oregon State is just a really good team this year, and man, they have really impressed me this season. Next game we're going to talk about is the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stifle. I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Kimmel. I don't care for the guy, but it's cool to have your name etched up on a bowl game, but I'm kind of jealous of him. So I was kind of back and forth with this game. By the way, this was one of Mike Leach's schools that he coached at as a head coach, Washington State. But this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think got Ward versus Hayner. I think they're going to have a shootout, but I think Washington State's going to come away with a victory, a last-minute victory, 31-28. I think is going to be the final score for Washington State. Excuse me. Next game we're going to talk about is this bowl game is weird because you got a team that's 5-7. I don't necessarily think they deserve that spot over Army. But Rice, 5-7. They're taking on Southern Miss, who's 6-6, and they have Frank Gore Jr. He is a dynamic athlete for the Southern Miss Eagles. And then, of course, you got Wilkie, which he hasn't been playing that too great on the passing game. But you got McMahon for Rice, who's been well balanced, but I'm going to have to go with Southern Miss in this game. I think they're going to beat the hell out of Rice. I got them 38-13 in a very convincing win for Southern Miss to get over 500 in this game. Next bowl game we're going to talk about is the Frisco Bowl, where North Texas will square off against Boise State. I'm sorry. I skipped a bowl game. We'll talk about the SMU versus BYU matchup in the New Mexico Bowl. Both teams are 7-5. I think BYU's defense is going to have a little bit of trouble against Tanner Mordecai and that good pass attack. I think BYU's equally a good offense, but I just think SMU's defense is a little bit better in the secondary. I'm going to have to go with SMU winning this game big, 45-28. It'll be a good first half, but second half, I think SMU can pull it away. But I got the Mustangs winning this one. Now, next game, we'll talk about the Frisco Bowl, where this is the last game of Saturday, which is tomorrow. We got North Texas taking on Boise State. North Texas, they lost their conference championship game against UTSA. Boise State, as well as lost their bowl game to Fresno State, or their conference championship game to Fresno State. One key player I like in this matchup is Holani. I think he's going to be an excellent key for Boise State to win this game. I just think they need to use that run pass option against North Texas and make Holani the key piece. But he's an incredible quarterback. 32 touchdowns for 13 interceptions. But he has over 3,300 passing yards, and I think he's going to have a pretty good game too. But I'm going to have to go with Boise State, 38-24 in this matchup. I just think Boise State's offense is really good in the run game right now, and Holani is that key piece for Boise State. Next game we're going to talk about is the Myrtle Beach Bowl in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where Marshall will take on UConn, where UConn has finally made a bowl game for the first time in quite some time. Jeez, what is going on with this? Anyway, so UConn is facing Marshall, and UConn is heading into a bowl game for first time in quite some time with Jim Moore Jr., who's a excellent coach, I think. Sometimes he could be a dimwit, but I kind of like him as a coach. But I like Marshall in this matchup. The win against Notre Dame alone has me convinced that they can beat UConn in a very convincing fashion. But I kind of give UConn the benefit of the doubt. 45-20, I got Marshall winning this game. I think LeBourne's just going to be explosive in this game. He has almost 1,500 rushing yards with 16 touchdowns. He's an incredible athlete, and I think that Marshall defense is really stingy, and they are going to force some turnovers for that UConn offense. But how about UConn, man? They really came out of the gutter, and they'll be played Monday the 19th. But they came out of nowhere this season, and they beat Liberty, and they became bowl eligible for the first time in quite some time. Probably since the Big East Conference before it disbanded with West Virginia and Rutgers and Louisville, But Marshall, to me, is a very good football team, a well-coached football team. And especially the way they beat a Notre Dame team who was really down on themselves after an Ohio State game and way to take advantage of that. That, to me alone, was enough for me to be convinced that Marshall was going to beat UConn, and that was the only game for Monday. Tuesday is a two-game slate where we have Eastern Michigan taking on San Jose State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Okay. Now, this game is going to be a good one, I think. San Jose State's 7-4. Eastern Michigan's 8-4. On one side, you got a really good quarterback, Cordero, who has thrown 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, almost to 3,000 yards passing. And good grief, my nose itches. For San Jose State, that brings in good memories, like what is that kid's name? I can't remember. But anyway, they have a really good pass attack. But on the other side, Eastern Michigan has a really good run offense, and they're more balanced, I think, for Eastern Michigan. But I think it'll be a low scoring game, and I think it'll be a good game. San Jose State's going to win 24-20. I think San Jose State's just got the better edge in this game, and Eastern Michigan is going to play tough, but I think San Jose State's tougher. And the last game for Tuesday will be Liberty taking on Toledo. Both teams are 8-win teams. Toledo actually beat Ohio for the MAC championship, and you can basically say this is well evenly matched. 50.1%, and then you got 49.9%. Toledo has a really good quarterback in Finn. He's 172 for 291 passing yards. He's thrown well over 2,000 yards passing. And then you got 22 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And then on the other side, you got a really good receiver in Douglas. He's really good. He's about to eclipse 1,000 yards in this game for sure. But my confidence level with Liberty right now, they just lost to Hugh Freeze. They lost to UConn. They have lost their here it is. They've lost 3 out of their last 5 games. 3 games in a row after beating Arkansas, and then they lost to UConn 36-33, Virginia Tech 23-22, and then New Mexico State 49-14. And then on the other side, Toledo, they've won 3 out of their last 5 games, and they've won their conference championship by 10 against a pretty decent Ohio Bobcats team. But I got Toledo winning 34-17 in this game. I just don't see Liberty winning this game because their confidence level is really low right now. Their morale's really low right now because they just lost their head coach to a prominent school like and I'm not saying Liberty's a bad school. I think they're an excellent school. But Liberty just lost their head coach to a Auburn team, which I don't know what's going to happen with that. He had a bad rep with Ole Miss. So Hugh Freeze, good luck to you, sir. But I got Toledo winning over Liberty. Next game we're going to talk about is a Wednesday game, the only Wednesday game there is. We got Western Kentucky taking on South Alabama in the R+L or R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl game. The experts say Western Kentucky is going to win this game. Let's take a look here. Now, Western Kentucky has a really good quarterback who went over 4,000 yards, 4,200 yards in Reed, while Bradley's thrown almost 3,000 yards. He has thrown 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, while Reed's thrown 36 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So a little bit better numbers on his part. Then you got on the Jaguars side, Webb, who just reached 1,000 yards with 197 carries and 13 touchdowns. And then Corley for the Hilltoppers, 90 receptions and almost 1,200 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. So if I'm South Alabama, I focus in on Corley and try to bring pressure to Reed, which I think they're going to do in this game. I got South Alabama winning this game 31-17. So that'll be the end of the Wednesday game. So we got 3 more games to talk about. 1 Thursday and 2 Friday games. So the next game that we're going to be talking about is a Big 12 team that won the Big 12 championship last season, but now they really have sunk in a new low. They're 6-6, the Baylor Bears, and they'll be taking on a red hot Air Force Falcons team that's 9-3. I think this is gonna be a good matchup. I really do think so. Blake Shapen, he's kind of on and off every once in a while. I think that if he could get his mechanics right, he'll do just fine. But Roberts for Air Force is a guy to watch out for. 308 carries, 1,600 rushing yards, and 15 touchdowns. And then you got Cormier. Why does that sound so familiar for MMA fans? That's DC's kid, I believe. Daniel Cormier's kid. Let me see. Actually, I don't know. David Cormier. He has 13 receptions, 384 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, he's actually Daniel Cormier's son. For those that don't know, he's a senior from Air Force Academy. But also another guy to watch out for in this game is Baylor's Reese. This kid is electric for a back that's a freshman from Belleville, Texas. He's almost at 1,000 yards this season, and with a newer style Big 12 where defenses are really starting to come along in the Big 12. I'm going to give the edge to Baylor by 1 point, 28-27. I think Baylor can stop the run against Air Force, and it'll be a fantastic matchup. I think it'll be one of the better matchups out there. I think Baylor can win that game, though. Give me Baylor 28-27 in that awesome matchup. I actually like that matchup better than one that we'll be talking about in next week. So we got 2 Friday games, the only 2 Friday games left. And the last 2 games that we'll be talking about here. We got the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, where we got the 6-6 Louisiana Raging Cajuns squaring off against the 7-5 Houston Cougars. Now the Cougars are favorites in this one, 64.6%, and the Raging Cajuns have a win percentage of 35.4%. Wooldridge is a pretty decent quarterback for the Raging Cajuns, but watch out for Jefferson for the Raging Cajuns, where he's got 51 receptions, 810 yards, and 7 touchdowns. But Clayton Tune, man, I love this guy. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. Okay, he has well over 4,000 total yards, close to 4,500 yards total, and he's got 42 total touchdowns, 37 passing touchdowns, and 5 rushing touchdowns. And then you got a very talented kid out of Dell, 103 receptions, almost at 1,400 receiving yards, and he has 15 touchdowns of the year. Give me the Houston Cougars winning 31-20 in this game. It'll be a good defensive battle, but I think Houston's offense is a little bit more explosive than Louisiana's. I think the Cougars from Houston will win this game. And last but not least is a game that Florida lost to UCF last year in this matchup. But we're here to talk about this year's Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, where the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, who are 7-5, looking for that spark that they had earlier in this season. They have a almost 60% chance of winning over this team, the Missouri Tigers. Now, Missouri has really clicked on all cylinders as of late, but they're kind of on and off. But Sam Hartman, who looks really good this season, almost hit 3,500 passing yards. He was out for a couple of games, 35 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, while you got Cook, who stepped in for Missouri, he's got a little bit over 2,500 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Schrader, he's another talented quarterback for Missouri. 157 carries, 691 rushing yards, and 8 touchdowns. And then you got A.T. Perry for Wake Forest, who's got 70 receptions, 980 receiving yards, and 11 touchdowns. He's going to eclipse 1,000 yards in this game. But if we look at the stats, I mean, the story tells itself. I mean, it's not going to be a very good defensive battle. I got Wake Forest winning this game 38-21. I think the offense is going to light it up on that Missouri defense. But I think that Wake Forest's defense is a little bit softer, but they're more prone to, or they're more to causing turnovers for the Missouri Tigers. And that concludes bowl week number 1. I wanted to cut these down to weeks so that way we don't have to rush all the bowl picks in and make this a fucking hour video. I really do think that it's unnecessary to talk about all the bowl games and pretty much spoil my predictions, and then y'all have to wait when really I can recap all these games next week and then talk about the next bowl games, which that might take a little longer, but I'll jump right into it when we do that. But again, I do apologize for not talking about NFL as of late, but me and K-Dub are going to get back on it as soon as possible. I'm going to try to get on it tonight before I do anything tonight. But with that being said, I want to say I appreciate that everything that Mike Leach has done for college football. He's one of the primary reasons why that I chose to do podcasting. You know, like coaches like him, people like him, made me want to do this. You know, and I was thinking about having him on the PMP. Like I was actually talking to Caleb about this. Like you and me need to have an interview with Mike Leach. I want to try to get a hold of him after the season, so that way he can focus on his bowl games and then focus on the off season a little bit, and then probably closer to or a little bit in between the signing day and the spring game for Mississippi State, I would try to get a hold of Mike Leach, because I feel like he would hop onto the PMP. I think he would enjoy the PMP a little bit, you know, and it wouldn't be just about football. It'd be about what he likes, you know, and what he really dislikes, like candy corn and fat little girlfriends, you know. I mean, who doesn't love a good Mike Leach rant, you know? And I wouldn't have cared if he talked for 8 hours on this show. I really would. I really would just sit there and just smile and think to myself, man, I got the most brilliant mind in college football on the pod. But unfortunately, that won't be the case due to the fact that Mike Leach passed away. I wish him and his family well. Sharon Leach, if you get a hold of this, I really am sending prayers out to you and to your 4 children and your grandchildren. I really do think that Mike Leach really got me into football, or got me real big into Texas Tech football when I was living up in Lubbock with my mom and dad and aunt and uncle at the time. But I recall a game where they were playing against Oklahoma State, and Mike Leach was 7 rows down. I'm not kidding either. Like, I was about 9 years old, and I fell in love with Mike Leach then. That's when I fell in love with him. Like, as far as, or I was 8 years old, and I fell in love with him as a coach. Like, I really thought he was a awesome coach at that time, and he was an awesome coach. And I really hope that the College Football Hall of Fame committee just says, "Fuck it, let's put Mike Leach in. He's done enough to earn our respect and admiration." And just being himself is a reason why he should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. I feel like what Texas did to him back in 13 years ago, where that idiot Craig James and his doofus son were trying to they pulled strings to get Mike Leach fired, which was a coward and bitch made move, in my opinion. I feel like Mike Leach, the way he tells the truth, like, he does not lie. Mike Leach, I feel like he doesn't lie to people, and especially with cases like that, you cannot lie. And I feel like the James family owes the Leach family a extreme apology. I'm pretty sure Sharon will be the bigger person if that's the case, and she'll accept the apology. And but yeah, Texas Tech needs to make it right with the Leach family. I mean, that firing that Texas Tech did to Mike Leach was the worst mistake that Texas Tech has ever made. The winningest coach at Texas Tech, and you're going to fire him based off of one player that fucking sucked and was complaining about a concussion, and Mike Leach did what he was supposed to do. So you're firing him based off of that. Go fuck yourself, Like, that is petty. That is just stupid. And there was rumblings that there was some board members that were really wanting him out of there for some reason. I don't know why. It's what happens when your board members and your boosters are really spoiled after a successful season. They just want you out of there because you're not doing your job when you're really doing a good job, and your win percentage proves it and your stats prove it, where you had 4 straight record-breaking seasons, and I don't know. I just think that whole situation, I know there's new people there at Texas Tech in the board side and also in the boosters side. I really do think they need to fix that situation with the Leach family and just pay them the fucking money that they owe, because Mike Leach did say he still hasn't gotten that money, which I don't know how the fuck you can get away with that. That's robbery, But yeah, so I'm glad we already got 1 like on this live stream. I wanted to make it short today, and I want to talk a little bit about Mike Leach, why I did the tribute video, and just really talk about the first 16 bowl games that we're going to have up until next Friday, and possibly next Saturday. I'll make the new video for the bowl games, depending on what time I'm available. But if I'm available early Saturday, I'm going to do it, because I already got all my predictions and shit written up right here. So I look forward to talking about it, because there's some pretty good games to talk about here. So, and this is where you start to see a lot of ranked teams facing each other, and I look forward to talking about it. So, with that being said, one second here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jeez. I keep forgetting I turned off the sound. We are the greatest podcast in all of YouTube, in all of AMP, all the in between. We are the PMP. Swing your sword, folks. Every once in a while, a pirate could beat a soldier. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And I shall see you later on. Ta-ta for now. I don't care if you look how step. I don't care if you look how rip. I don't care if you look how step. I don't care if you look how rip. I got sauce, I got flavor. Getting all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor. Getting all this paper. Plain Jane Paddock on my motherfucking wrist. They notice every time when I walk up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. My chopper hit. My chopper hit. My 40 hit. My 40 hit. I don't care if you look how step. I don't care if you look how rip. I don't care if you look how step. I don't care if you look how rip. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. This shit is exciting. Do it with our right team. My style, they biting. I'm striking like lightning. I'm bagging this bitch. I'm talking my shit. I'm bagging this bitch. I'm talking my shit. I'm about to get on your ass. I'ma just count me some cash. I'm about to get on your ass. I'ma just count me some cash. Doing something different, man, I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck.